In today's video, we are going to be checking out the Pollinator Garden along with our parking lot gardens. There's just so many beautiful bright flowers. It's so sunny and beautiful today too. And I think whenever the sun's out and the sky is blue, that just really enhances the beauty of flowers. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and in today's garden tour, we're going to be looking at proven winners, annuals, perennials, and shrubs in this garden. If there's anything you're seeing and liking that we're talking about, you can head over to our website, gardencrossings.com, and you can place an order and we'll ship it directly to your door. Or if you're local to Zeeland, Michigan, or want to take a road trip, we welcome you here to our retail garden center. Let's go ahead and take a walk through the garden. The parking lot bed is looking so pretty. The annuals are starting to fill out just a little bit. You'll see that beautiful yellow stripe. That's the Macedonia Gold Dust. Behind it, we planted the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry and then some of the unplugged violet salvia that will give us a little bit of height. Right now, we still have some allium bulbs that are holding on to their last little touch of lavender. Once those start to turn fully brown, we're going to trim them back and replace them with yellow cannas to give us some more structure and more height in this particular garden bed. The colors are just, I don't know, I love bright colors, as you probably have known from seeing various things we've done in our own gardens and landscapes, but this jazzberry and the yellows and the purples are just so beautiful and so vibrant. The aquapots are looking nice as well. This aquapot has more of the salvia in it, along with a palm tree, some of the bright lights, osteospermum, and then the Supertunia Mini Vista Hot Pink. And then there's also a little bit of sweet potato vine in there that's going to kind of hang over as the summer goes along. Super vibrant. Another one of the aquapots will feature has some of the Lismachia or Creeping Jenny in it. Beautiful chartreuse yellow green foliage. Also there's some Royal Cosmo Lantana, purple Broalia, and then tucked up against this palm tree is some of the perfectly pink Angelonia. So this will continue to get taller as the summer goes on, and hopefully that Lantana kind of grows out from underneath that Lismachia. Right now it feels like the Lismachia is kind of taking over the Lantana. So we'll see every week, every month, you know, gardens change and your containers do as well. Another aquapot that's got kind of a unique flower collection in it. We've got the jet black sweet potato vine, along with some begonias. I think this is Tropical Sunrise Super Bells. Some Kufia Vermillionaire for the hummingbirds, and then again the palm tree, which is the Thriller that we've used in all of the aquapot planters here in front of the garden center this year. This one has the Super Bells Pink Lemonade, along with the Dichondra Silver Falls, which is going to continue to drop over the edge as summer goes on. We've got I think these are the Lavender Rose geraniums, so we'll have to keep up with these and keep them deadheaded. And then we also have the Rockin' Deep Purple Salvia, which we have planted for the hummingbirds and the butterflies. It's again bright, bold colors. I'm really happy with the designs that got put together this year for this particular space in the garden. This garden bed is really heavily concentrated, I think, with a lot of annuals, but it's amazing what perennials can do to a garden bed as well, creating such a bright, impactful splash of color. And that's certainly true here with the dianthus, these red dianthus, part of the Paint the Town series. They are just absolutely in their prime right now and putting on just a major splash of color. We have them paired with the Lemon Coral Sedum, which is an annual, and that red and yellow together creates such a perfect pairing of color. We put a few white sun patiens in to create just a nice splash of color that will consistently be in flower throughout the summer. I also like to add white into the garden because I think it's so pretty, especially at night. It just kind of adds a little spotlight and just a little bit of glow of color. There's also some Verbena meteor showers in here. As I mentioned, this is the Pollinator Garden, and the Verbena meteor showers is a great plant for the butterflies. And here at Garden Crossings in our butterfly house, we raise the monarch butterflies. So when we release them, this is a great plant that we always find them hanging out on after they've been released. Nemesia, this is the Aromance mulberry, one of our favorite nemesias here at Garden Crossings. Very fragrant. And even in the heat of the summer, this nemesia just continues to bloom and bloom. That's not true of all nemesia. They're more of a cool weather loving annual. So when it gets hot in the summer, a lot of times they'll kind of shut down and not put on a ton of color. In the background there, we've got the Manhattan Lights lupin, and we'll actually try to get a close-up of that here in a little bit. But that, I just love lupin. And this particular one with that deep burgundy or grape purple and yellow, I think is so stunning. I just like the flower form, you know, the nice spikes that kind of dance in the breeze. And it's got really nice foliage as well, even when it's not in flower. We're going to go up there and walk in the middle of the garden. That way we can get up close and personal with many of these varieties. We got some penstemon here. This is the Onyx and Pearls penstemon, which has got really dark black foliage, and it's just starting to open up with its white flowers, little bell-shaped flowers. The Amsonia storm cloud is done flowering now. So even after it's done flowering, I think it leaves just a pretty green foliage, almost like a bush looking effect in the garden. Some more lupin. This is a purple and white variety. Loving the flower spikes. Behind it is a pink and white variety of lupin. And these are all compact. They only get about 24, maybe 30 inches tall. Planted around the rock, this is kind of a fun plant. This is creeping thyme, and it's just starting to open up. So once this is fully in flower, it's going to be just a mat of beautiful purple flowers. Very low growing, probably only about 2 inches tall or so. So definitely not something that's going to take up a lot of space in the garden as far as height wise. So it's great front of the border plant. Also great for pollinators. Got a beautiful friend right there hanging out. And you can see how it just kind of creeps its way around in the garden. This did start off as, I think, maybe 2 plants, and you can see how big it's gotten. And I think this is about the 4th or so year that this garden has been in existence. So it really creates a beautiful mat-like effect of ground cover. On the front of the garden bed here, we have the Spirea candy corn. Beautiful splashes of kind of yellow chartreuse foliage, and you can see the new growth on the candy corn. It has a little bit of a coppery orange color. Flowers are just starting. There's some buds there, not flowers quite yet, but this will have beautiful pink flowers once candy corn starts to put on its flower show. We tucked a few of the saffron finch supertunia and the jazzberry supertunias in this bed to give us a consistent splash of color. Making our way around, we've got the Supertunia Vista bubblegum. No garden is complete without at least one of the Supertunia bubblegum. And here we've created a border, and it's just going to be a mass of beautiful pink blooms as it continues to fill out throughout the summer. You'll notice we left about 2 foot between the grass and the bubblegum. By the end of the summer, I anticipate we won't be seeing any of those wood chips because the Supertunia bubblegum is going to be hanging out in the grass. It's a very prolific grower. With Supertunias, they do not need to be deadheaded. These are not your grandma's petunias, folks. These are Supertunias. They are sterile, self-cleaning, and they have one job, and that's to flower all summer long. The saying is, feed them and they'll be fabulous. So we do recommend feeding your Supertunias every 1 to 2 weeks. Like people, plants get hungry too. On the back side of this garden bed, we have some more of the Nemesia Aromance mulberry. Let's go in for a super close look at that. If you could smell this, you would just be in awe. It's such a beautiful fragrance. I'll get the tag too. Caryoptera Sunshine Blue 2, beautiful yellow foliage. This is a fall blooming shrub. So it's important when you're planting your gardens that you're thinking of all the seasons, because you certainly don't want to have a garden that's just heavy on color in one season. You want to be able to get out there and enjoy it all times of the year. Baptisia, I believe this is blue bubbly. Beautiful light periwinkle blooms. Really pretty. We've got the Atlas rose blooming. Look at all those flowers and all those buds. Atlas rose is super fragrant, super flowerful, and puts on a show of color all season long. Check out those beautiful peach blooms. We've got a few poppies that are just about finished blooming here. It's kind of fun to add poppies into the garden. I think they add a little airy, whimsy feel, along with allium, which we're seeing a lot of the allium gigantica. I think that's what it's called, allium gigantica, bulbs. They're just the giant alliums. We also have a beautiful wisteria blooming. It's quite a little guy at this point, but this was actually given to me by one of our customers several years ago, and it just kind of hung out in the greenhouse because we didn't know what to do with it or where to go with it, because wisteria typically have a pretty huge root system, and I didn't want to not purposefully place this plant because of the roots. I had to make sure it was going to go into the perfect place for the plant. So it's really pretty right now. It's in its prime bloom stage, and I'm not sure, but I'm going to take a smell, see if it smells. It does have a scent to it. It's kind of pretty actually. So just kind of a little fun whimsy pole that we have it climbing on and wrapped around. And actually I'm going to go down and show you here. Look at that thing. Look at the base of that plant. It's huge. And you can see the one stem coming off of it. One of our hibiscus are pretty far along right now. Check out that dark black foliage. So with various hibiscus or rose mallows, some of them have dark foliage. And to obtain this dark foliage, it's important that you keep them planted in a full sun location. So if you get a rose mallow that has dark foliage and you plant it in more of a shadier spot, you're not going to have this intense, deep, dark foliage as what we're seeing here with ours that's planted in full sun. Around the birch tree, we have some ilex. They look a lot like boxwood, don't they? So boxwood in a lot of areas has been banned, and or people have been having issues with boxwood blight. So Proven Winners has come up with an alternative that looks a lot like a boxwood, acts like a boxwood as far as its shape and habit, but is not a boxwood because it doesn't get the blight. These are evergreen shrubs, and this one is called Strongbox, Ilex Strongbox. So we took 5 of them here, and we created a semicircle around this birch tree, and it looks really cool not only in the winter when there's really nothing in bloom, but these plants that are evergreen, but it looks cool in the summer, just kind of giving that semicircle, semi-framed in look around the tree. This is about the only spot with shade in the garden, so we're utilizing it to its mostest by planting a few hostas. Now these are young hostas, they're not very big yet, so they're going to continue to grow, but we're just giving them a try. These are some of the newer hostas, Trendsetter, and then I just showed you Voices in the Wind, and then this one here is Miss America. So these are young. Hostas sometimes take a couple years to get to their full-size potential, so it's one of the plants you got to be patient with while they continue to get familiar with their environment and put on that growth. We're now back to this original lupin we had seen earlier in the video. I wanted to give you that close-up view. Just look at that beautiful coloration. I'm loving that great purple color with that yellow. Such a beautiful bloomer. Lupin are also a great cut flower, so if you want to cut some flowers, there's not many, so you probably don't want to cut your whole plant down, but they do make a great cut flower if you're looking to bring some flowers into the house. Just kind of taking a view here. Right now I'm seeing a black swallowtail. He's hanging out there on the dianthus, so that's really encouraging because we have dill and fennel planted, which is the host plant for black swallowtails, in hopes of being able to introduce black swallowtails into our butterfly garden along with the monarch butterflies. I'm going to see if I can get a closer look before he flies away. Right there. That is the reason we do this. Is because, I don't know, we love butterflies here at Garden Crossings, and creating the perfect butterfly pollinator garden is what needs to be done to attract these guys to the garden. That's the first one I've seen for the season, so hopefully it's going to pay a visit to our plants and lay us some eggs that we can then bring into the butterfly house, where we can raise more and more black swallowtails that we can release out into nature. On the back side of the pollinator garden, we have it lined with saffron finch. This is a new proven winners Supertunia for 2024, and we dabbled with it last year with some samples we were given, and this year I wanted to kind of go full on and do a mass planting of this plant. So far I am so pleased. I love the yellow here of saffron finch. It's a really crisp, clean yellow, a bright yellow. Some of the other yellows out there are just kind of a little muddled looking, where this is such a beautiful, crisp, clean yellow, and it really pops out in the garden. Taking it around, and we're heading back towards those bubble gum we saw earlier, tying it in, and there it is. Along the front fence row here, we did mass plantings. We did mass plantings of lantana. These were just planted, so some of them are a little wilty. We need to get more water out on them. This is the, oh dear, this is the lemon. Citron lemon. I could be getting that wrong. I'll put the name up. But this is the lemon lantana, and this is a great pollinator plant. Very fragrant. Hummingbirds, butterflies, they love the lantana, and typically you're not going to need to worry about rabbits munching on that plant. Mass planted next was the Supertunia bubblegum. And at every fence pole we planted, I think this is fennel for those black swallowtails. Next week I'll come out and check to see if any eggs have been laid, because right now as I'm standing here, I see that black swallowtail is visiting out in this garden. Next we've got the sun patient tropical rose, mass planted. And then some more of the salvia, the unplugged series. And then this continues as it heads down to the road. So this is another, essentially a 55-mile-an-hour garden. It's just kind of not running along the road. It's running along our property line. So another pollinator dream, because man, the salvia and the lantana especially are going to be attracting the butterflies and the hummingbirds. One more area in this part of the garden tour we're going to take a look at is an update on our North Pole and our hydrangea planting. So last summer this was planted up. The evergreens in the back you're seeing there are the North Pole arborvitae or thuya, and we planted those there to create kind of a barrier between us and that building there, which is our, I think it's like a water building. I don't know, where they monitor the water towers and pressure and all that. So we're putting this here to kind of block that off, to line in the edge of our property. And then we did a planting of, let's see, there's pufferfish out here. There is, I think there's a little quickfire and, man, one quickfire fab possibly. I'll know better as they start blooming which is who. But we kind of created a pattern out here of those 3 panicle or hardy hydrangeas. So once these start blooming, it's going to be a gorgeous mass of white blooms. We had some extra lemon coral sedum, so we planted that up front to kind of border in this garden, just to give it a little splash of color until those hydrangeas are blooming. So it's been exciting to see this garden kind of take shape. I wasn't exactly sure what those North Pole were going to do over the winter, because there's a lot of deer in this area. As you can see, we're out in the country and there's a lot of farmer fields across the way, and we do see deer, but I haven't really seen deer on our property. And by looking at these North Poles, so far they have not been touched by deer, because you definitely would see that the deer would have created a unique topiary look to these plants had they been chewing on them during the winter. So fingers crossed, so far so good, that they stay looking nice as they do right now. We will be sure to keep you updated on how these gardens do throughout the summer. I think it's always fun to watch as the plants kind of grow into themselves one month to the next, and just the transitions and changes that occur in a garden throughout the growing season. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you're new to our station, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.